Eric, can you hear us now?
Can you hear us now?
I think he can.
Can you hear us now, Eric? Ah, good. Finally.
Okay, good, good. You'll have to cut all this stuff out before you upload it for sure. Okay.
Okay. Finally. Hello, everyone.
Hi, everyone. Hope you're having a great spring day. We got the audio sorted out, so we'll go right into the questions today.
Mhm.
This is from Eric Payne. In the context of the researchers of truth and its spiritual places, what is meant when the Bible speaks of heaven and or the new earth and new heaven? Well, this is from Revelations, and Revelations has two aspects, an inner aspect and an outer aspect. Most people focus only on what's happening in the outer aspect. The inner aspect is the Christian initiation. It's the actual initiation process you go through, and symbolically depicted some of the events that happens, like when they open the seals, there's great earthquakes. A lot of times when you open a chakra or raise your consciousness high enough, you'll encounter some sort of change and something will happen and it will shake you. But also in the external thing, the external revelations, there's talks about earthquakes. These are the real earthquakes with the planet. And just one thing Gaskell said about this. He said, don't think that the revelations, what's happening in the revelation is going to happen to everybody all the time. Some people will have the drought. Some people will have the earthquake. It's not that everybody's going to have this. So keep that in mind. But when it talks about a new heaven and new earth, the system, it's not the earth is going to disappear and we're going to get a brand new earth. It's just the old way of living on earth. Life on earth is going to change dramatically. I mean, really dramatically, probably very soon. And so we will find ourselves living on a new earth. It won't work the same way. We won't be debt slaves like we have been for the last hundreds and hundreds of years, or really maybe thousands of years, if you count the Babylonians. Money changing bit. And at one point, I want to point out, Christ in the Bible, he goes through, he doesn't rebuke hardly anybody, right? The only ones he really rebukes are the money changers. And he kicks them out of the temple. He puts the lion's head on and growls and kicks them out of the temple. Well, they left the temple, but they've been running the show ever since, behind scenes. We'll get into that later. But yeah, so the new earth, now as far as the new heaven, what's heaven? Well, heaven are really our psychonoetical states. Those are what the heavens are, psychical noetical worlds. And we live in them and we have a certain expression in those. It's based on our thoughts and emotions. Well, everything's going to change. So there's going to be a whole new, we're going to have a whole new thoughts and emotions. We'll be living in a definitely a better world. But it's psychonoetical we're talking about now, how we see and perceive things. But the earth itself won't disappear. It's just that there'll be a whole new way of living on the earth.
Beautiful. In this dimension, we experience outer world and inner world in the third dimension. But please remember, in this dimension, everything existing, everyone existing in this dimension has all the levels of the mind light vitalities, the mind light. All the frequencies of light is in this dimension. Otherwise, nothing and no one can exist in this dimension. So, in this dimension, we experience many things in the outer world and also inner world. But when we enter into the fourth dimension, which is called the psychical world, we experience things. We feel that is happening in our outer world, but actually the things are happening in us, not outside of us. And in the fourth dimension, the concept of the space will be annihilated. And the fifth dimension, the noetical world, the concept of the time will be annihilated. And of course, everything is happening in us, seems like happening outside of us. And in the sixth dimension, which we call noetic state, world state, noetic state, we experience, we realize everything is in us and everything is one with us. So, new heaven, new earth, New Jerusalem as the state, certain state in us to enter into, and entering into the kingdom of heaven or new heaven, which means we, by changing our frequencies in here, we don't need to go anywhere else. We are just like a radio, by tuning or shifting our frequencies higher and higher. By doing so, we can enter into the state of the kingdom of heaven, new heaven. Then, as Daniel said, we will experience new earth because we don't go anywhere. New earth and new heaven. We will experience it.
Yeah, something else about that she just mentioned is when you go to the higher dimension, the psychonoetical worlds, there's no space. It's a sense of place. So what we're doing right now in Revelations, it's the same thing. We're constantly changing our place in the kingdom of the heavens, even right now. If you get a little kinder, a little more caring about other people, you raise your vibrations and you change your place in heaven. So just wanted to add that. Next question is from Mario. I work with a lot of people, hundreds, from many walks of life, lots of personality types. You mentioned that if we interact with someone and find common ground in discussion, we share an elemental with them. This really scared me. Sometimes I'm helping children of my clients. They are mid-aged adults that have very bad habits, abusive behaviors, which some may be drug abusers and most have mental illness. Others have really, really bad moods, or they just don't think clearly. I'm doing these things to help them, which are mainly children of my clients. I try to initiate change in them by changing how they think, plan ahead, think positive, become better. I try to make them think in different ways. Some are suffering from mental capacity issues or drug addictions. Sometimes they keep calling me after the first discussion just to talk. Their emotions were all over the place. I want to ultimately protect my family. I don't want elementals like this to affect others around me. I may be strong, but others around me may be more subconscious. I'm concerned, as you mentioned, that people share elementals with each other. So the question is, can you further elaborate on this topic? How can we clean them or remove them from harming my family, my children, myself? What would you do in this case? Should I maybe call it quits and avoid discussions with them? I want to protect my family. No, you don't have to quit. You just have to know how it works. How it works is all about vibrations, the harmony of vibrations. First fact, if you have someone come in and they have this terrible chain smoking habit, but you don't smoke cigarettes, you're not going to be affected. Now, if you've been a smoker and have quit, then being around another smoker may awaken an elemental, the previous elemental in you. So it's all about resonance. What's resonating inside us determines whether we get the elemental. You can have the purest person around these people and they'll never pick up any bad elementals because they don't have it in them. They don't have the corresponding elemental or resonance in them. So Dasklos always talked about this and in cases of helping people. He says, you need protection. The best protection is a pure heart, which, like a little child, you get an innocent child around anybody, these crazy people, it's not going to affect them because they don't have it in them. So what we have to do is learn to raise our vibration, keep ourselves really positive and well charged. Now, Daspo said also, um, you can't always be alert. You fall asleep at night. You can't always be alert. So it's good to have a talisman. So we have these talismans that he created, and these protect us from when we lose consciousness, because maybe you have some little bit of correlation with these people. You can be affected by it. So, but best protection is a pure heart. So just don't lower to their level. Don't get into the elementals of their level. Just, you're there to help. So you're there channeling, and I don't want to say channeling, but you're there receiving divine energies, trying to help those people the best you can with your abilities. So don't worry, just keep a good positive attitude. And the same thing with your family. Even if you picked up a negative elemental, if your family member didn't have the same corresponding kind of elemental, they wouldn't be affected by you. So the number one job here is to protect yourself, keep yourself light and above what you're watching. Just be like a witness.
Yes,
Yeah.
beautiful. Yes. In the healing work or counseling work, once we hear or put our attention on something, for example, when we talk with the person who need help, and once that person send us, create an elemental, and immediately we share this elemental. Of course, it happens. But as Daniel says, as the counselor or as the healer, any type of healer, fill yourself with love and light. That's going to be the most powerful protection for you, because it creates automatically the difference of the frequencies in between your client and yourself. Then that's going to be the protection for yourself. And also, you will be benefited to be yourself as a conduit from the higher of the higher entities. So higher light and the energy comes through you and give it to okay, give it to your client. So each time, fill yourself with love and light and try to serve your client each time freshly. Please don't, of course, we have to remember what we talked last time, but as the energy, please give them freshly each time, one by one, just like serving food, as a waiter or waitress, nutritious food. If you place it on the table, let's forget about it. Our job is send the nutrition to each time to to people who need help. And after that, if you are working in your house, where your family are living, then cleanse that place with, filling that place with white light, or make a prayer to fill the light in that space. And maybe it helps you by doing a 3 sounds meditation or eggshell, light shield to cleanse yourself. So each time, please do that. And freshly work on the new, even if they are the same person, then they are the same people. Each time, do the service freshly. Because I want to add this aspect, because don't worry about the elementals, because teaching says our psychical body extends many miles around us. many kilometers around us. Noetical body extends many more kilometers, miles around us, which means when we, move around, we subconsciously, automatically pass through somebody's psychonoetical field. It is happening. So we can see elementals in our clear eyes, but all kind of elementals are everywhere. And as I said in the last question, all the frequencies in here. So in a sense, if you focus on or concentrate on certain low vibration, immediately it's here and you take it. And in the other word, as Daniel says, if you are full of love and light, the more your frequency is higher, then nothing can influence you. So just be careful. Your family are vibrating low, then we have to. It's a different matter. We have to work on them. But once you finish, if you have an office, cleanse the office and come back and cleanse yourself and your office and come back to your home and create something very fun and high vibrating, refined energy to your family. Then nothing will influence your family.
Good question, Mario.
Thank you.
Next question is from Joseph. We would like to win a lottery. Together with 4 friends, we visualize how we will win and how we will enjoy our lottery win. But I'm not sure what's the best approach. What is the best visualization? What exactly to visualize to create the best elemental? If every one of us will visualize he or she wins, then we would share with this win. Then the elemental is fighting with the other elementals, I assume. I was thinking that maybe it is the best if one visualized he won, and then he shares with the other 4, and then will give the money from the lottery. What are your thoughts? When you say you'd like to win the lottery, who do you mean? Who you? Your soul? Your personality? And what part of your personality? What pole of the personality? A positive pole of your egotism or the negative pole? You have to analyze that, because what is it that wants to win the lottery? Now, of course, everybody thinks, well, if I win the lottery, I'll do good, and that's good. When I was on Cyprus with Panayota, if you ever traveled with her, she would, all the time, she was very generous, tried to buy the meals. And occasionally a lottery guy would come around selling lottery tickets. And she would always buy one for her and everybody at the table and try to share it. It was very nice. I like that part of her. But her father said it was black magic. Now think about this. What's white magic? White magic is where we do a prayer or do something for somebody, to help somebody. Black magic is when we do something against it. Maybe he called it brown magic, which is doing just something for yourself. It's not something to hurt anybody. It's well-meaning, but it's a self-centered action. You're trying to win the lottery. So I don't think Dasklos thought very highly of trying to win the lottery. He made that joke with Panayota that it was brown magic. But nonetheless, the principle of what you're talking about creating elementals, the best would be just create a visualization of you and your friends winning, happy, all having money. You don't have to get too complicated with it. Just see it simple, but see it clearly, and everybody gets in on the same visualization. Don't want to see one person winning by themselves and sharing the money. You want to all win it. You all go into it together. Okay. So yeah, just visualize that you have it. It doesn't matter how you got it. Just see yourself winning the lottery and you're all very, very happy, smiling faces, that kind of thing. But also I would advise you to introspect on why you want to win the lottery.
Teaching says when we diligently continue the introspection exercise, we will be able to observe one desire or one desire. How this desire will cause the next step or how it will be developed. Teaching says we will be able to observe once we create one desire, then we will be able to observe how it will be developed. So in this case, I would like to suggest you before you visualizing the number to win the lottery, I would like to suggest you to visualize once you create or how to visualize the number to win the lottery. And if you win the lottery, what's going to happen next as your next step? Maybe you will be very much pleased and you might buy another one if you want it. And then what's going to happen next? You keep buying it and you might become the millionaire. But you will buy so many things, or you might give that money to others, blah, 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 blah. And please introspect. What's going to happen once you win the lottery like that way, using the power or art of the visualization? This is a very good introspection and work for you. And observe yourself. It will be really beneficial, or it might become the trap to give you certain unnecessary struggles or experiences which might cause more and more incarnations by creating a karmic things. So please do this process first and decide what to do, using the art of the introspection first before the visualization. As Daniel says, we have a many range of how to use the art of visualization. And Daskar said white magic, black magic, in between brown magic, everything is magic. Magic is magic. As the researchers of truth, teaching says we should use the art of visualization to wipe off tears of others and to create, heal others, and also to heal ourselves, to create health for us, good health for our three bodies, and good health for three bodies in others. So at the beginning, you might feel a little difference. I said this before, long time before. It's just like a junction of the railroad. At the beginning, okay, Aki, what's wrong to visualize how to win the lottery and how to heal the other person's body, or how to how to visualize it to create health, healing sphere to our body. What's the difference? It might seem to be a slight difference, but the motivation to use the gift from heaven divide us, separate us into completely different destination eventually. So please be mindful how to use the teaching. It is very important. Motivation is so important. And it's just like a double-edged sword. So we can use it or beneficial and ascend us higher, or it can be kind of, even if we feel we are ascending, if we are obsessed by gaining something and receiving something, material things, then even if we feel we are ascending, we might be going down, increasing the numbers of incarnations. So to prevent that, please introspect first. But I would like to add these things at the end. Then, can't we wish anything? No. Can we visualize anything happier or abundance in our life? No, we can wish it. How about visualize this way? Visualize you and your friends, everyone, including you, are so happy and abundance. And you are, nothing is missing. Everything is in you. And you are so happy, smiling. And create this vision very intensely. You are given whatever you want. And do your daily work, whatever, buying the lottery or doing whatever brings you to reach that state. But for the visualization, just simply visualize that you are so much in abundance. This is what I recommend to you.
Our next question is from Sarah. I was wondering about the effects of thoughts on me and other people. If someone is thinking very negatively about me, is it possible I can feel that? Would I receive those thoughts as also negative thoughts about that person, or would I get a feeling that someone's thinking maybe negatively about me? Yeah, of course you can feel them. It's God's mercy that we don't see them, though, because when someone's thinking negatively about us, it creates, the elemental has to have a form, and it takes a form of something very, like a snake or something not so positive. Of course, we can feel them. Before Daskalos, I used to be able to feel this. Couldn't explain it until I met Daskalos. But to me, when a negative elemental came and when it hit my aura, it sounded like taking two pans and crashing them together, making a discordant sound. And when I drive in traffic, if somebody thinks I've driven wrong and they send me a negative elemental, again, it sounds like a clashing. It's not a very nice sound. The loving elemental comes to you, makes a beautiful sound. You can hear it when it hits your aura. So, yeah, we can feel these, we can hear these, and someday, we will see them. But again, it simply goes back to what we said before about Mario's question. You're not, unless you resonate with it, it won't affect you. If you hear it, dismiss it. It's not going to affect you. But if you feel, oh, there's that guy I don't like. He must be he's sending me negative elementals. Well, I don't like that guy. Well, then immediately you send an elemental back to him. And if he feels it, he may start thinking stronger negative thoughts about you. So you just really, even if it's negative, you just want to just dismiss it. Don't entertain it. That's what it says. If you don't think or act or feel on an elemental, a negative elemental, for less than a minute, it won't stick. So we want to just dismiss those as quick as possible. Yeah.
Yes, Sarah. Yes, it will influence you. Negative elemental will influence you. And then I think, I feel maybe the order is opposite. The first, when negative elemental comes, we immediately sense it, even subconsciously, we can feel it. Then automatically, immediately, we create something kind of negative feeling as a reaction by receiving if someone sent you the negative elemental, we subconsciously or consciously feel it. Then automatically or instantaneously we create something negative impression about that person. So maybe most of the case we receive first, and they no, that's why we can tell which is first, but we feel it, and immediately we create this kind of negative elemental towards that person. This is what is happening in the most of the case in our daily life. But teaching says very helpful things I would like to share. Whatever people are expressing negative energy toward us, they are expressing what they want to express. This is nothing to do with us. Many of us get wounded or get offended. Daskaru says this is the worst demon in us, which we create as the elemental in our present day personality. So, as the researchers of truth, we should not be influenced by any negative elementals, whatever people express and whatever's negative sent to us. We should not take in, see them, they are expressing what they want to express. But we should not take that energy in and avoid getting wounded or offended. Please avoid this condition. By changing our vibration, we can do it easily. And also, please shift your way of thinking. Oh, the person who are sending the negative elemental, oh, they need love. So consciously try to send them love instead of taking it as a negative energy. Please do try to practice it consciously. And but in some case we really have to say no. Yes or no. Please express yourself. No, I can't accept this energy. You can express it simply, honestly. But even saying so, even saying no, keep yourself clean without taking that energy in your energy field. This is how teaching says.
Okay. Well, Greg Reed from the Land Down Under is asking, are you aware of a massive change in the world order with the coming of cryptocurrencies? And do you have any knowledge that the Illuminati exist? Yes, in both cases. Of course, there's so many cryptocurrencies. They're not all going to make it. And a cryptocurrency is what? It's a digital asset. But here's the thing you should look about it. The Illuminati, who control the banking system, definitely are going to try to issue a digital currency of some sort of cryptocurrency. But it's not going to be asset backed, just like our fiat dollars in Australia, United States, Canada, and the euro. It's not backed by anything. It's just printed paper. But what I'm aware of is that right now there's a new thing coming. It's called BRICS. It's Brazil, Russia, India, and China, and now Saudi Arabia. But they're all going to a gold-backed digital currency, which means you could redeem that currency for gold. With the fiat currency, there's nothing in it. It's just a number on the screen. There's no real asset behind it. If you want to get into cryptocurrency, we will be presented in the future, and I hope probably not too long, with cryptocurrencies that are gold backed. or asset back. Maybe a country that has a lot of oil, they're going to back it with oil. But there's going to be something behind it. Now, the Illuminati has been running this scam for a long time on the banking systems. And so they've taken the gold standard away from our monies and everything. And it's just going to flip on them. It's going to change because that's not the way it's going. Right now, 70%, I think, have signed up to be on this worldwide gold asset back. And the rest of the countries are doing it too. So there's about 90% of the world is going to be on this gold backed cryptocurrency. And that's great. But the dollar is going to crash, the euro is going to crash because there's no value behind it. Why would people ever want to buy a fiat currency that's no asset backed when you could have a gold backed one? So there's going to be a great change, a massive change with this. But I don't know. There's so many cryptocurrencies. Personally, I don't see how most of them can survive. But let's see, what else could I say about that? Yeah, there's just really great big changes coming. Particularly, it's going to be particularly shocking to the Western world. Okay.
Oh, that's it.
I could do a seminar on this. I think I better stop.
I think it's going to be overnight. Okay. I like it. Okay. From my end, so many things are happening, and we will go through so many events and the changes, as Daniel says. But as a researchers of truth, we are aiming to be self-realized. That's why we've been studying what is the truth. So in your daily life, whatever happens, please express the nature of life and express yourself in a loving way with reason. Use reason. Whatever happening around you, always listen the voice of reason and express love in peace. And I want to say that, all the kind of prophecies or intuitions or advice and information, when you hear it and when you introspect on this many kinds of prophecies or information, so intuition, someone's intuition or your own intuition, introspect on that and select what you think the right one using your reason, using your heart, and prepare, use those kind of information for the preparation without feeling the fear. Prepare in advance once you hear something. But that's it, no fear, because fear confines us in the world of illusion. And teaching says, lamb listen to the voice, can tell the difference of the voice of the shepherd. Lambs know the good shepherd. Lambs, sheep never follow to the wolf. So we have to be wise enough and try to listen the truth and discern who and what is really telling us the truth. So we need much skill of observation, especially from now on. This is the comment from my end.
Okay, Jonas is asking that he's heard hints over the years that Jesus had sex with Mary Magdalene. Did they? Was Jesus celibate? No, he didn't. To say that is just a complete misunderstanding of what Christ is and why he's come. He didn't come for normal things. He didn't hardly eat much. He didn't need sex. He didn't really need any of this. He came to show us the way. Now, this got started, I don't know exactly who the first person was, but an author wrote about it in a book and suggested it. And they use all these different things from France, some details from France, but it's definitely not true. And I will suggest to you that, of course, it's not true. The guy's book he wrote this about is in the fiction section. It's not in the documentary section or nonfiction. It's fiction. He just wrote a story, and he caught many people's attention by that story. But no, it did not happen.
Yes. A scene lovey. You can read it in the Christ book. A scene lovey Joachim and Anna, Saint Anna. In English, do you guys call her Hannah or Anna?
Hannah.
Hannah. Hannah delivered 3 daughters. The eldest daughter is Elizabeth, and the second daughter is Miriam Shalom, and the third daughter is the Maria. Mother Maria, yes. And Saint Anna delivered Mother Maria by Immaculate Conception. And all 3 daughters, Elizabeth delivered John the Baptist by Immaculate Conception. And Miriam Shalom delivered John the Evangelist, John the Revelation, Father John, Johanna, by Immaculate Conception. And as we know well, Maria, Mother Mary, delivered Christ, Joshua Emmanuel Christ, by Immaculate Conception. Immaculate Conception means they can materialize their body. Holy Spirit and archangels materialized their body. So it's not the regular human being's delivery of the baby. It's not like that. And so, which means, so does Christ need to sex with other lady? No. In the physical level, on the physical level, he doesn't need to sex with the other lady. Then, psychonoetically, for the lust or for the pleasure or whatever, Joshua Emmanuel the Christ is the God man. He is God materialized as the human bodies. So he didn't need to sex with other lady. With reason, we can easily understand this fact.
John's asking, in the last Q&A you gave a method for creating a healing elemental. I'm just curious if Dasklos ever gave instructions that these elementals need to be consciously dissolved at some point. And if so, how? I've heard that all this time, it is the nature of elementals and the elemental kingdom to degenerate over time. And if they are created with a name and form, there is the possibility they will attempt to live on semi-automatically by vampirizing its creator. I'm just curious if such dangers of creating powerful elementals were ever discussed. Well, sure. And he does tell you sometimes you do this certain kind of thing, create this elemental for a person, and then you have to dissolve it after a certain point in time. Now, it's really not the nature of elementals to degrade. Once you create an elemental, it can't be destroyed. The only thing that can be destroyed is the energy empowering it. So what we do is disenergize. We remove our attention from them. In this case, the Dasklos would just call the elemental back and dissolve it. And we do that by removing our attention with him. He did it more consciously and specifically. But an ordinary person does it by forgetting about it. So in that sense, you might say they degrade. They don't really degrade. They just lose their energy power. But it's just like a toy that runs on batteries. the moment you put some energy back in it, it's going to start doing the same behavior pattern because it's a programmed entity. It's not a living being. It's an entity we create or the archangels create. And so it has a certain purpose. And most elementals, like let's say you have a desire for a diamond ring, and you look at it out and you study, you're creating this desire for diamond ring, you're building up a super strong elemental, it's trying to pull it to you. And then one day, I found the one I want, here's the money, I got my ring. Then you forget about it. That desire to get that ring dissolves automatically. And if it doesn't dissolve automatically, it can come around and keep torturing. So if you don't get a desire fulfilled, those are the real dangerous ones because this elemental keeps poking you. Oh, you want that, you like that. It keeps reminding you that you've created it. And you can't think of the elementals too badly because they're trying to do what you've desired them to do. If you want a ring or a car or whatever, they're created to help bring that to you. So when an elemental sticks around and keeps bugging us, we really do need to consciously disenergize it because they do. They act like vampires. They take our energy. You're completely right about that. Yeah.
Okay. Of course, we can create a process to de-energize that elemental which we create, which means we recreate or we create another elemental, which is the process to de-energize that elemental. But the elemental which we created originally is still there. We can also create a process that try to de-energize that elemental on it, but the original one is still there. As Daniel says, once we create one elemental, it won't be completely destroyed. But we can de-energize, degrade that elemental by defocusing it. So please, once it's done, it's gone. So try to forget about it and try not to focus on it. That helps de-energize it. Because principle is once we create one elemental, it won't be annihilated. It's there in the subconsciousness in the universes. But as long as we defocus on it, then it's okay. It's okay. And yeah, and I have when we work on the healing or and create healing elemental, especially when we create some angelic protection, giving the name which he mentioned last Q&A, when we create angel to protect for someone who we love. In that case, once we create and when we send that elemental to that person, please, how can I say, not command, but tell that elemental, you go there and occasionally tell me what's going on over there. And once you need energy, then take the energy in the environment or come back to me to receive the energy. Like that way, please, before you send the elemental, please program it. Program that elemental as your messenger or elemental. So my point is, please don't create any elemental like subconsciously. Then it's going to happen like he expressed, he described, try to come back and try to suck the energy or whatever. But once we do this process, program or the elemental which we create consciously, then we know what we have done. And once it comes back, okay, I will recharge it, go back. Like this way, please don't lose the relationship with your elemental like a master and a servant, this type of master and servant type of relationship. Please keep it in order. Otherwise, once it switches like negative elementals or elementals which we create subconsciously, we will be eventually haunted by the elemental which we create or other elemental which it brings back to us. So when you create whatever element, especially healing elemental or angelic elemental, tell your own elemental, you are the elemental. I am commanding you, I am telling you to go or back and receive the energy, whatever. Keep this order in clear way. This is my advice.
Eric is asking, did Daskalos choose his wife for any particular spiritual reason? The reason, as I understood, is to be the mother of his children, which he planned to bring in. There's no evidence she was like a spiritually advanced person. She was just like a common woman, a common Greek housewife. And she took care and loved her kids very much and took care of everything. And she got ill, and then Daskalos had to take care of her before she passed. Then he raised the 2 daughters alone. Next question is, do I know if Panayota is fully awakened? Yes. Then he writes, if she is it because she was born with one of Daskalos' children? Or was it because she was already more advanced from past lives? Which is why she was born to one of Daskalos' children. You can't be enlightened by being born to an enlightened person, some people like to claim, oh, my great-grandfather was a great poet, but maybe they're illiterate, so it doesn't really help them for that purpose. From my understanding, I understood that he likes to bring Panayota in with his incarnations. And I know he's developing her, he's trying to help her develop as he has. People come back to each other in soul families. We reincarnate with our soul family often. Not maybe every member, but you'll have a lifetime. You'll have a couple, maybe soul family members. You just feel more close to them than you do the others. So it's not unusual for souls to keep incarnating with each other in this case.
I'm very sorry. Please don't take it the wrong way. But to be very honest, I don't talk about the others like this way, not only about her, any other person as a researcher of truth. I can't talk about other people in a separate place and not directly. I think it's impolite to talk about her in this way. But I really feel grateful and respect her great work for the teaching, appreciate all her work and the devotion for her father's work, and I feel everything is done. Everything is happening under the perfect divine plan, and it happened as the mutual Daskalet and her spirit soul's beautiful agreement. Based on that, everything is happened. I understand it this way. I'm sorry.
But it wasn't just Panayota that he brought back in. I've known him and know of him saying this, that he's been working with people. I know a couple of people for 3,300 years. And they keep coming back into his life, and he keeps trying to help them on their journey. Panayota was his daughter in a previous life, in the last previous life. So it's just a way of incarnating. We love people. We want them with us. And so Dascos had the incredible ability. Not many people can do this, but he could actually call a person into an incarnation if he wanted to. And he's done it many times. So yeah, but that's enough about that.
I just would like to add something very important. As the researchers of truth, of course, in the healing work or counseling work, we have to talk about the particular person, but it's a private talk. Maybe it might be nicer not to talk about other people by our guests, or kind of not the gossiping, but once we start this kind of conversation talking about others, the present day personality who is existing and living in this dimension, it might create a kind of gossipy, energy. So this is how I hear from above, to live without gossiping others.
Najabal, I can't say this right. Najabulo, yes. Ask, do you recommend that all meditations, 3 suns, for example, be conducted in stillness with eyes closed? Or can they also be effective whilst walking through nature with eyes open, but still giving attention to the centers with the mind's eye? Yes, of course, that's a good idea. Because, once you get good at visualizing it, you can see the images of the spheres solid and clear and steady, I don't mean solid, but I mean steadily. Then you can also do it when you're walking in nature. You can do it anytime. I've done it in the subways of New York City. Just do it everywhere. And the nice thing about it, if you do it in a place like New York City, which is kind of crazy, you feel really empowered. You feel the protective shield of light around you, and you feel invincible. And the negativity doesn't really affect you. So definitely, that's a good way to practice, because it takes more skill to do it while you've got your eyes open and walking. But it's still a good plan.
I agree. Oh, okay. My answer is yes. Please try both ways. At the beginning, please work on that, closing your eyes in the stillness, and visualize clearly whatever you wanna visualize. But the next step, and opening your eyes and visualize whatever you wanna create. And then the third step, whatever you do in your daily life, when you wish to create or visualize something, visualize immediately doing your daily work. So you can do in any ways. But at the beginning, please master to visualize closing your eyes with one eye, create image of something. Yes. Daniel-san, next question. Now below has a second question.
Next question is, while undertaking the labors of Hercules, is it necessary to undertake each labor in successive order, or as listed? Or can one work on different parts of different labors? For example, can I work alternately visualizing killing the Nemean lion alongside visualizing the various heads of the Lernaean Hydra being chopped or cut off and branded? Or should all work be done with the lion completely before attempting others to work on the Hydra? In the later, how do we know when to move to one exercise during the other? Well, we're doing these for a reason, and that is not just to visualize them, but to have the direct results manifest in our life. So yeah, it's recommended you start with, think about these labors in different arcades. Don't put them together. Don't have the lion over here and the hydra with it. Each one should be separate. But think of them like arcades or separate rooms. So you move from one room to the other. First, you do the full lion visualization. Then you can move on to the hydra. Then you can move on to the boar and the rest of them. Or maybe you just want to work on one room a day, one visualization. Today I'm going to do the lion. Tomorrow I'm going to do the hydra. You can do it different ways. But the real thing is, it happens in your life in no order. One day, one moment you'll be, struggling with trying to keep from being angry. The next moment you go, wow, I really would like that speedboat. So you'll be doing them. It's just when they come up, try to remember the practice of visualizing whatever the labor was, and it will come to your aid because you're creating an ally elemental when you do these visualizations. And it comes to remind you, like, what you're having the experience. That way you improve your behavior, you improve your mindset. And so basically that means you're uplifting your awareness. You're becoming a better and better person because you don't fall into the thing and get angry. You remember about strangling anger. You don't want to kill it. You don't want to suppress it, but you want to kill it. You want to kill its expression in you. So yeah, you can do them in any order, but just watch for them during the day. They won't show up in order. They'll show up in different ways.
My advice is at the beginning, please work on it systematically, one by one. As Daniel says, each step, each labor has each word. So please work on it one by one, at least the first 10 labors. We will know the other two are after passing on, this dimension. But the 10 labors, please work systematically, one by one. And the most important thing is the Hercules is our permanent personality self, which means the soul self, which is our real self. So once you work on the labors of Hercules, please success. Please don't imprint any image of failure of your work. So always imprint the strong image of triumph, success of the labor, which means if we do know, okay, we learned, okay, first labor and second labor, okay, do it together at the same time. It's not the easy thing. So work on one by one and create and imprint a strong triumph image in our subconsciousness and proceed one by one until you reach the 10th labor. Then labors of Hercules. In the labors of Hercules, we are working on the different phases of our egotism in our present day personality. So, which means that even if we, kill the lion or master the unbridled desires, it might come back. So, at the end, we will work on it at once, all of the labor at a time. We will be able to do that. But at the beginning, please work on it very diligently, one by one. Then, and we have to repeatedly, we have to work on it. Teaching says it takes at least 5 years. Again and again, we repeatedly work on the kind of same labor. If we work on the fourth labor, we have to come back to the first labor, because in our life event, it happens, and we have to work on it. So, but eventually, when we are very, very developed and very much cleansed our present day personality, at the end, it will happen at the time. We can work on it, all the labors at the time. Then we can annihilate all egotism in our present day personality, which means self-realization. that's gonna happen. One more advice is, especially first labor and second labor, overcome our anger and overcome our unbridled desire. Those two works are very essential and important, especially anger. With anger, whatever we try, we will fail. So please work on anger again and again, and separately work on your desire. And after you are mastering, or when you start to control your anger and desires, then other work, other steps will be much easier and smoother to work on. So in that way, please proceed.
We'll talk a lot more about it in the mid-October seminar on the symbol. We're going to have the second one. We'll do another batch of the labors, particularly, but to speak more detailed about this. But I want to say one last thing. Don't think of this thing as something that's just going to, you do the labor 7 times up, 7 times down. Okay, now you've got it. No, it's going to be, you're always going to be doing this for a long time, because it's going to go subtler and subtler. For example, you may have this person that's so annoying to you that you tend to lose it and just start yelling when you're with this person. You just are so out of sync with each other. And so you do the labor and you realize it. And so you start to meet this fellow again. You go, okay, I remember the labor. I'm not supposed to do that. And so, wow, that kind of works. I didn't get angry. I didn't call him a name. I didn't raise my voice. Good. But then maybe the next time you'll meet somebody else and you just say, I really don't like that person, the way they do that. You're complaining. And as the Buddha said, anger is at the root of the tree of complaint. So in other words, there's still a little hidden anger down there. It's just not as obvious as punching somebody in the face, So you have to work on yourself more and more subtly, like that. And it'll be that way of all.
Yeah. During doing other labors, first labor or second, other labors are hiding and fading, but it's still there. At the end, when all of the presented personalities gone at the time, it's going to be the self-realization. It happens like that.
Yeah, most people, for example, in the anger, most people have I don't have that much anger. But really, it's circumstances. If you put that person in proper circumstances, they could get enraged if they haven't mastered their anger. So it's a long journey, but there's no other way to reach self-realization but to get rid of those things that aren't self-realization. Anyway, see you next time, guys.
See you next time. Have beautiful days. Thank you.
Stream.